Assalamu alaikum. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. Assalamu alaikum to everyone listening from Walsall and Wolverhampton. And Alhamdulillah, what a journey we have come on. We are already on the last day of Ramadan, and we said right at the beginning that you will see how quickly Ramadan will pass by. Just like the Quran says that it's like life is like the blinking of an eye, and in the same way, Ramadan has passed, has come, and is almost gone. We are just in a few more hours left till Ramadan has come to an end. And Alhamdulillah, we have been able to stay together throughout, and that brings me great joy. And Alhamdulillah, we're able to find a way to stay connected in this time where we are all staying at home. Inshallah, today we will just talk a little bit about Eid as a current topic, and the next step now after Ramadan. But just before that, I just wanted to quickly recap over the course of this month what we have gone through. Many of you maybe didn't have the opportunity to listen to the first few Daroos. So I just want to just go over a few of the topics which we went over, and then we'll go into briefly just talk about Eid and the way to celebrate Eid, and a few quotations of Hazoor and what he has said about Eid. So inshallah, we'll just talk about Eid Mubarak. This will be the last Daroos of Ramadan, and inshallah we'll take full benefit from them. All the slides, almost all the slides have been shared already on the groups. So please, whenever you can, whenever you need to, you go through them, and you can use them for preparing speeches or just to increase your general knowledge. And also for the past few days, we've also been recording some of the Daroos. So you can also watch those over, and if that's what you prefer, and then inshallah we'll continue this habit of delivering Daroos after Ramadan as well. But for the time being, we're going to go through this slide which we've prepared, and then inshallah we'll get to the end of it quickly. So first 10, alhamdulillah, we've covered a total of 20 Daroos in this month. The first one was about fasting, and then about the Holy Quran, Tahajjud, leading a simple life, steadfastness, financial sacrifice, enduring hardships, standing for prayer, and nearness to Allah, and finding pleasure in prayer. And then in the second 10 topics, we covered istighfar, the importance of Darood, the 7 stages of prayer, itikaf and why we do itikaf, Laylatul Qadr, gratitude and science, physical benefits of wuzu, the moral training of children, where does sin come from, and lastly, Khilafat, a promise from God. So each and every single one of those topics, alhamdulillah, we covered to an extensive level. So anyone who wants to just go over those anytime, feel free, just open the document and just go through them, and for your own knowledge and for your own benefit, they are there for you. Knowledge, as you know, is not something which we should keep secret. We should spread it as far and wide as we can. And they say all knowledge is a lost property of a mu'min, of a Muslim. So anywhere you find knowledge, you should try to learn that, and you try to increase your knowledge as well, both on your religious side and on your general knowledge side as well. So as alhamdulillah, on top of that as well, we've also had 4 Tahsin al-Quran classes from Rafi Shah Nawaz Sahib, and also 3 question and answer sessions with a total of 27 of your questions answered, hopefully to satisfaction. So again, we want to try and continue this manner as well, because we always have questions and they continue to arise. So we'll try to organize something to continue that as well. But as I said, today we'll be talking about Eid Mubarak, or Eid in general. 21, Alhamdulillah, the 21st Daroos of this month. So we just want to just quickly go over what Eid means and the root of Eid. So Eid actually comes from the word Aada. Aada means he returned, or he came back, or to come back, and it has that meaning. So, so the word is actually a very beautiful word because it means something which will always continue to happen, always continue to come back. And how fortunate are we to have that blessing of Eid coming twice a year in a form of a festival. So that's where the word Eid comes from. And the word is formed into Eid, Ain, Ye, Dal. And then the word itself means a feast, a festival, something to be feasted or congratulated or complimented, wished joy to. Again, so this is a small understanding of the word Eid and where it has rooted from. So now we're just going to understand the true essence of Eid and try to understand if Eid is just for one day, or do we have to capture the essence of Eid and spread that out throughout our whole life. So I just wanted to read a quotation of beloved Hazoor. And he said something very beautiful. If there was ever a great Eid in the world, it was on the day when Allah the Almighty instructed a most beloved one of his to call and gather together the entire of mankind. He was commanded to announce to the world that it should hearken to the call of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so that it may benefit from the blessings he has been granted by God Almighty. And so this is alluding to the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how he was the best of all prophets, and him coming into this world was an Eid, was a celebration for the whole of mankind. And of course, when the Holy Quran also came, we learned in Laylatul Qadr that the Holy Quran, when it came, it was a day of congratulating, a day of celebrating, because this was the word which was sent directly from Allah the Almighty. So there are two lessons in that. Eid can be found through the life of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Eid can be found through the Holy Quran. And Eid in itself, as we have already mentioned, is something to celebrate, something to find happiness in. So that's something which is something to think about, something to think outside the box. Eid is just not that one day where we sit down and have food and we celebrate us being able to eat again. It's something a lot deeper than that, and the essence needs to be captured by everyone. Again, the Hazoor Anwar says, the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam named faith as wholeheartedness, meaning that true faith is where a person's heart is consumed by the delight of his faith. Thus, true Eid is where a person feels joy at fulfilling the requirements of his religion and does not find any of its obligations to be a burden. And so this is something which we learn through Ramadan, something which we understand that this is something that we can do. Ramadan is that opportunity for us to really try out our faith, try out if we are capable of actually doing what we are told to do. And we will find by the end of it, and we're at the end of it now, that we were able to do many of the things which Allah requires us to do. And so that's a short lesson for ourselves, that we can actually continue that. It's not just for this month, it's something which we can continue throughout our lives. And the more we do it, the more we'll understand that, you know, this is part of my life and I can actually enjoy my faith and my religion. Because as you know, religion just means a way of life. So if you really instill the ways that Islam has told you to do, then your way of life will be perfect, and your way of life will be enjoyable for you, and that in itself is Eid. So now we have found Eid in the Holy Prophet ﷺ, we have found Eid in the Holy Quran, and now we have also found Eid in Islam itself, in the religion of Islam itself. So all of these things you should look at, and you should try to ask yourself, what am I getting from all of these three things, and how I can actually take them into my life and continue this happiness throughout my life. As I said, many good things which we do during Ramadan, we realize that we can actually continue them. So in the Hadith, Hazrat Abu Huraira anhu has reported that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Take up good deeds only as much as you are able, for the best deeds are those done regularly, even if they are few." And from this, you can really understand that what Allah really desires and what Allah really wants from us. Does He just want us to read the whole of the Holy Quran in one day and the rest of the year leave it? Surely that is the same as those examples of the Quraysh. When the Holy Quran was sent down, it was directly addressing the people of Quraysh, the people living in Mecca. And those were the people which the Quran speaks about. They left the Quran as mahjuran, as a forsaken book, a forsaken thing. And so this is a great lesson for us, that we should not also become like those people of the Quraysh who disregarded the Holy Prophet ﷺ and his message, which was the Holy Quran. So we too need to look at this hadith, we can look at history, combine the two, and try to instill a habit of doing things regularly. It doesn't have to be a lot. It can just be even the most minimal, even if it's just a few lines, if it's a ruku, or if it's a quarter or half or 3/4 or a part, whatever is within your capability, whatever is within your strength and your powers, you should look at that and just tell yourself, look, I can do it. I can read a few lines today. And if you never had the habit before, now is the time to develop that habit, because again, everything is connected back to this essence of Eid, this essence of happiness, and this essence of continuing that happiness in your day. And you will see many a times when you actually tell yourself, actually today I won't do those things. I won't read my namaz, or I won't read the Quran. You'll see that in your day you may feel negative vibes. You may feel negative energy in your day. And the next day when you actually do those things, you actually do the things that you were meant to do, you feel more positive, you feel more uplifted. And that's again this another, you can say, a magic of the Holy Quran, a magic of Islam. It oozes that positive energy within you, and it makes you want to be inclined more to Allah the Almighty, and in return Allah the Almighty will give you that happiness. So again, find that happiness through our religion. So these are some of the things which we have learned during the month of Ramadan. So continue your good habits during this month. Complete your 5 daily prayers. Ramadan has come to an end almost. Make your next action tomorrow positive. Wake up for Fajr, because now you've realized that Fajr is easy. Fajr is actually something which you can do and which we have all done. But slowly when we fall into our old habits again, Fajr suddenly becomes the most almost impossible thing. But you have realized that this month it has been possible, and it is something which you can do. And this is why Allah the Almighty has said that He doesn't burden any soul beyond its capacity. And this is when we realize that actually Allah has not burdened me beyond my capacity. Actually, I can read Fajr, I can wake up for Fajr, I can even wake up for Tahajjud if I really want to. Because once food is there, everything becomes possible. And I think we've all learned that over the years, and we've learned that in our time in our mosques. Whenever there's food, we get a good gathering. In the same way during Ramadan, we know there's food downstairs. So in the same way, just try to get the essence of why you're doing those things. In the end of the day, it's all to please Allah the Almighty, and it's all to capture that essence of Eid again, that essence of happiness. So these are very important things. Your 5 daily prayers. Before you sleep, ask yourself, have I done my prayers? If not, get up, finish them, go back to sleep, and you're done. but try to do it at the appointed times. But sometimes, we get to the end of the day, we realize, okay, I haven't read my Isha, so I'm just going to read it now. Don't be those people who just try to sleep on it and say, tomorrow I'll do it. In the moment, as soon as it comes into your mind, it's come into your mind for a reason. Allah the Almighty has put it into your heart that, I'm giving you this opportunity. Try to read it, and in that way you'll be able to develop that habit of not missing prayer ever again. And in the same way, the Holy Quran, we've just spoken about reading as little or as much as you can. And this month we are trying our best to complete the Holy Quran. You may have realized already that there are only 29 days. So if you're reading one part a day, you'll realize that today you will have to read 2 parts to finish the Holy Quran. So again, make that attachment to the Holy Quran. And the biggest injustice you can do is be those people who leave the Holy Quran fully. We spoke about dropping the Holy Quran in one of the question and answers. But that shows that you have made a connection with the Holy Quran and you have loved the Holy Quran. The biggest dropping of the Holy Quran is the metaphorical dropping, is that dropping where you've left the Holy Quran on the shelf and left it in the dust and not gone back to it for a whole year. So that's really the true lesson which you need to learn, is that make that connection and continue that connection in your everyday life. Again, reading Daroos, we understood how Daroos is that connection between this world and the next world in terms of getting your your prayers answered. So that's why this again is an important element which we learnt about, and we should continue and continue helping others. This month you've seen how our Jamaats in Walsall and Wolverhampton and all over the Midlands and all over the UK and the world, in fact, how we have stretched our arms out to our neighbors, to the elderly, and how we have listened to the orders of beloved Hazoor of helping those people in need. And Hazoor gave a very beautiful Friday sermon this week, and he spoke about how you should do your best whenever you see someone hungry. You should feed him. If you know that someone hasn't got clothes, you should clothe them. And that's the essence that we need to look at, and we should continue those things. Ramadan isn't just a one-time thing. You've done it for the cameras and that's it. It's for yourself, it's for your connection with Allah the Almighty. And that's the real reason why we are doing them, and that's why we have that feeling in our heart of helping other people. And again, start the habit of reading the Promised Messiah's books. If you have started to read Hazrat Masih Maudu's books this month, many of you will realize that they're incredible. They're actually so enjoyable. Before, if you haven't even started, you sometimes think it's too difficult for me. I can't get my head around even starting a book, or I don't have the strength to even open one page. For those people, I say that just jump into it, start reading, and you'll realize how much you can actually relate to each of his books, and how they're so relatable to today's time. And you'll find it amazing that we have a prophet who has come, and everything he has written, we can directly read his words, his direct words. So just that in itself shows how important we need to begin that habit. Again, another quote of beloved Hazoor, he said, "The true faith is where the worship of God is only a source of joy and contentment. True faith is where you happily make all necessary sacrifices for the sake of God, for the sake of others, and for the sake of your community. He or she who lives their life in this way is able to celebrate a true Eid each and every day of their lives." And so that is really the crux of Eid. That is really the essence of what we have learned from Eid and from the month of Ramadan, that we instill these things every day in our lives, and it's all a sacrifice for God, for our community, and for the sake of all the people in the world. So now we'll just quickly go through how to perform Eid at home. And everyone listening, Eid will be performed in your homes if you are 2 or more people in your homes. And so we'll just quickly go through the steps of performing Eid in your home, just because it's good to talk about and it's good to discuss amongst each other as well. There's always some confusion. Is it 7? Is it 8? Allahu Akbars? Is it 5 or is it 6? So we'll just quickly go through them. So in the first step, so this year we've been instructed to read Eid Namaz after Hazoor's Friday sermon. So Hazoor have his Friday sermon, and then we'll have our Eid Namaz. So Eid Namaz is the same. So you stand up. You don't do takbir, so you just do Allahu Akbar the first time. There are different ways. So some people say you have to fold your arms in the first Allahu Akbar. Some people say you can leave them down, and both are perfectly fine. Hazoor Anwar has done both. So you can cross them or you can put them down, and then you read Sana. So it's up to you, whatever you prefer. So then after the first Allahu Akbar, you do Sana. So that first Allahu Akbar is known as Takbir Tahrima. So then after that, you have 7 more Allahu Akbars, and each time you raise to your ears and you raise them back down. So make sure you're keeping count in your mind as well. Don't get lost in thinking how many times have I done it. 7 times after the first Allahu Akbar, Takbir Tahrima. And then after that, you will start your normal namaz. You will start saying Surah Fatiha. And then after that, you can read any surah of your choice. But according to Sunnah, according to the traditions of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he used to read Surah Allah. And this is the same surah which we read in Jummah, the first rakat of Jummah. So that's the first section almost of reading Eid Namaz at home. Then you continue into Sajda, and after the second Sajda, you'll say Allahu Akbar, and you'll come back up. From there, you will leave your hands down, and then you'll say Allahu Akbar 5 times. Again, keep count in your mind. Don't get lost. Make sure it's 5 times, because this was the way of the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then in the same way, on the 5th one, you'll cross your arms, right hand over left, of course, and then you'll continue reading Surah Fatiha. And after Surah Fatiha, after everyone said Ameen, you can read the next surah. So again, Sunnah, according to the traditions of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you can read Surah Al-Ghashiyah. But if you don't know Surah Ghashiyah, if you don't know Surah Allah, it's perfectly fine to do any surah which you like. But it's always best to try and follow the way that the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam also did. And then your namaz will continue as usual. So it's 2 rakat. And at the end of doing your namaz, you will have an Eid sermon. So Eid sermon again is delivered in the same way which we do khutbah, but the only difference is when you finish doing your Friday sermon. We've shared also a Friday sermon on the Jamaat group, so you can also go through that in English or Urdu, depending on who you are. But instead of when you finish, we would do dua. So make sure you remember that bit. Do dua with your family, and then you can go off and enjoy your Eid and whatever you have planned. But make sure, this leads me on to the next bit, because we're going through step by step. After listening to Hazoor's Friday sermon, then we do our own Eid sermon, and then do our own Eid namaz at home. It then gets to the next bit, the bit that everyone is looking forward to, the bit where we dress up for and we want to meet and greet our family members at home. So remember, Hazoor has been saying again and again to always listen to the rules of the government. Hazoor said that now Ramadan is coming to an end, and this was in his Friday sermon this week, and various governments are also beginning to ease lockdown restrictions. His Holiness, may Allah strengthen his hand, said that with ease in lockdowns, every Ahmadi should adhere to the guidelines set by the governments. So again, this is something very important. And we should really, as Ahmadis, be in the forefront of this. We should really show other people how we are obeying the rules of the government. And remember, it's almost like we are tempting our fate, tempting what's going to happen, and almost playing with fire if we try to break those rules. So it's really important, because this was a commandment in the Holy Quran, that to obey those people in charge of you, وَأُولِي الْأَمْرِ مِنْكُمْ, and those who are above you in law. So as you know, Islam coincides with the rules of the government where it's deemed fit. So this again is something for our own safety, and everyone will tell you again and again, it's not worth the risk, and we shouldn't take risks. We should be loyal citizens to the government and to the country. So again, any plans which you may have made, it's best to obey the government and go according to the rules. But Hazoor also said, but the foremost thing that Ahmadis should keep in mind is that with the opening of businesses, going out, Ramadan coming to an end, these things should not bring an end or lessen those righteous deeds which were established during this time. Offering congregational prayers at home should continue, and when the mosques eventually open, then similarly there should be an increased attention and effort towards ending the mosques as well, towards attending the mosques as well. Daroos should continue to be given so that knowledge may continue to increase, and members continue to watch MTA. All these things should not be forgotten with the ending of Ramadan and the easing of lockdown restrictions. So again, we're going through very serious times, and times which are very unusual. So we need continuous guidance, and beloved Hazoor has continuously given us this guidance. So again, when Ramadan finishes and Eid has started, don't forget your religious duties. We will sometimes, when we're in a state of happiness, we forget to pray on time. We forget to do all those things which we were doing during Ramadan, and sometimes that can vanish very quickly. So find it within yourselves and remind each other, and this is the most important thing, heads of households especially, remind each other and everyone of their religious duties on Eid and after Eid as well. So last year, beloved Hazoor gave a very beautiful message. I just wanted to reiterate that message and reconvey that to everyone. And on the occasion of Eid al-Fitr, Hazoor said, I offer greetings of Eid Mubarak to Muslims across the world. It is my hope and prayer that we continue to practice the good deeds that we observed during Ramadan and turn them into a permanent feature of our lives. Only then can we say that we are celebrating a true Eid and fulfilling its real purpose. We are living in an era where much of mankind is suffering, and there is ever increasing conflict in the world. Thus, on this day of happiness, we must remember those who are less fortunate and open our hearts to all humanity. May we feed the hungry and support those who are vulnerable and deprived. May Allah the Almighty alleviate the suffering of all mankind and enable peace and justice to prevail across the world. This was a message from beloved Hazoor last year. So again, we must always look at the most wise people, the people who are leading in faith. And for us, it's beloved Hazoor. And we must see, is Hazoor just saying, just go and enjoy? So he's actually really humbling us and telling us that, remember your duties, remember who you are, and don't forget that. Because when you do that, then you've also almost abandoned Allah in a state of happiness. So we must fulfill our duties. Really, everyone, I would like to just tell you that, enjoy this time, enjoy Eid, because we have just gone through a month of almost understanding how poor and less fortunate people live. And so Eid is there to, really celebrate Allah the Almighty. And this is why we say Allahu Akbar so many times during Eid, is to really remember that, Allah is really greater than any of us, is greater than all things in this world. And so we proclaim Allahu Akbar 7 times and then 5 times to really make us understand that Allah is truly the greatest. And so with that, I just want to really convey from my side, Eid Mubarak to every single person who has been on this journey with us, and all people, everyone who is listening in my lovely, beloved Jamaats in Walsall, and everyone in Wolverhampton. So I hope and pray that we are truly blessed with the acceptance of all our prayers during Ramadan, and remember all of us, all of the members in your prayers, especially those who are less fortunate, who are suffering, and all those people who are sitting during itikaf, and especially Hazoor always mentions the sufferings which are happening in Pakistan as well. So Jazakallah everyone for listening and for taking part in Daroos, in the question and answers, in the Quran classes. I hope and pray you have benefited in some way. Forgive me as well for any shortcomings or any weaknesses on my side. I hope and pray that I am able to meet you all again after this lockdown. So may Allah Ta'ala enable us to attain full blessings of Ramadan, and help us to understand the true essence of Eid ul-Fitr. Jazakumullah khairan jaza. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Eid Mubarak again to everyone.